This is Module 1.1.3, Course Aims for Health IT. I'm Steve Parenti, Professor, Carlson School of Management, Department of Finance. So we have some fundamental aims of this course. First of all, you need to learn how to know your technology, recognize the potential limitations of health IT. Second, I want you to learn how to buy smart, make informed IT purchases and development decisions, or at least have a sense of who to reach out to get the most information for those IT decisions that you need to make. Effectively use and systematically evaluate. Easy to say, not always easy to do. So the idea is that there's continuous planning, implementation, and evaluation of health IT. We're going to talk through the different, if you will, checklists that you need to consider for being able to do that. There's actually projects I do to this day. I've been involved with health IT applications probably going on now, probably 30 years, back to my days at Blue Cross Blue Shield in Rochester, New York, and even now as a consultant, looking at how these things are put into place for, say, the federal marketplace and exchanges. Other topics that we're talking about. We're going to first of all talk in the class about a health IT overview. We're going to get into that later in this first week. We're talking about systems and technology, and also how would you look at the demand for health IT from managers. And then we're going to get into health IT architecture. So what's the different hardware that's available, what data structures are available, what life support applications. By that I don't mean something that's going to be like a life support if you're dying or something. It's basically what are the applications, billing systems, electronic medical record systems that you need to be able to have your operation continue. And then decision support applications. So these are the more advanced analytic solutions that might be able to let you focus in on finding a different priority for your applications to right size where your staffing components might be, how you're going to reduce your readmission rate, for example. Those are all going to fall into decision support applications. We're also going to talk about this thing called the health IT pyramid. The base layer being the hardware layer. Basically all of health IT is built on hardware. And then on top of that, we have clinical and financial support. These are really the life support applications we were talking about before that are really built on top of them. And then finally, the decision support applications at the top of the pyramid that usually have a human-machine interaction, at least a human programmer decision support application component. Now, why this pyramid? The idea being that in the course of actually managing your systems, any one of these pieces is swappable out. So at some point you might say, hey, you know, we've had a bunch of servers that we've had in place now for 5 or 6 years. They're doing okay, but their hard drives are getting to be a little more concerning than we were before. Let's move all the hard drives over to SSD drives. Let's change the processors over from i5 cores to i7 cores, or move them all to Xenon processors for a different type of reliability. Same thing with clinical financial data. You might come along and say, you know, the structure we've had for our data has just been fine. We've been using this Epic system, but now I think we want to go to Athena Health. Athena Health has everything else in the cloud, and Epic doesn't really like a cloud. So, you know, let's think of a different thesis there, but we don't need to keep the data that we have because of statute of limitations to go back over a period of time. Life support software might be the interfaces that you have in place. Some of that might be Epic or Athena or other applications, GE, McKesson, others that are in place, but again, you might swap that out while still keeping your hardware and some of your core information. And finally, decision support software. That could be something as simple as saying, you know, we've done a lot of programming with a bunch of people with Access and some Excel, but really now we need to step it up. We need to sort of use Tableau and a few other tools to really give a better sense as to how to support our applications. So other topics, we're going to talk about some health IT application case studies. A lot of these are going to be basically videos for you to watch from really some great leaders from Health Data Palooza. That will come up again actually in 2018. I'm going to give you some video clips from 16 and 17 to review, and then just to get a better sense of what's there. Plus there's a case study or two I might throw in myself from my own research. And then we're also going to talk about design and evaluating health IT, both with respect to security and confidentiality. Some of this will actually bleed over to self-investigation that you'll do for your take-home final. And then we're finally going to close with some future health IT innovations. Now, really, a lot of the content actually deals with many things that do pertain to the future anyway, but we're going to focus on how some things might be, at least from a U.S. perspective, integrated in better. And I would argue actually some of these things spill over beyond the U.S. As well in terms of the vendors. The skills you're going to get from this course, we want to make sure that you can describe the basic hardware of information technology. And not to say that you're going to go out and build a server from scratch, but just that you know some of the basic component parts and why certain pieces are more critical for other applications. Understand data structures that are present in healthcare. This is actually a pretty critical thing, just to know what the data looks like when you're working with it. I've been working in this space for a long time. I really was not formally trained as a information systems engineer, but I learned on the job, and one of the things that enabled me to learn on the job was just knowing what the data was and also what the hardware was that supported it, and that actually made quite a bit of difference. And it didn't require more than just taking the energy to understand those systems. Identify software applications used to manage healthcare. Some of them could be very basic applications that we use in Office settings, Excel, Access. Some of them more advanced, and we're going to go through a few of those in the class. Describe the principal clients of information systems. So that could be physicians, and hospitals will go into each one of their needs and how they might use these systems differently or sometimes for the same goal. Other skill sets, we want to make sure that you can evaluate an information system using basic systems theory and evaluation skills. It's not going to get very theoretical, but there is some first principles that you should learn about and understand for the course. And then to communicate a systems analyst ad hoc programming instructions. This is going to come mostly by you doing some of your own programming yourself. And if there's suddenly you took a break and said, what programming are you talking about? It's going to be SQL programming. And there are people taking this course now going on 20 years actually. And everyone makes it through. SQL as a programming language is a pretty good early way to start out, but it also has some very advanced applications that you can use depending upon where you go with your career. And we're going to look into some legal and ethical issues. Some of this is going to come up in the take-home final, really for exploration and just considerations. And sometimes there's really no right answer, but you need to defend what answer you want to come up with. So how will you be graded for this class? Like I mentioned, there will be a take-home final. You're going to be seeing that final in the last week of the class. So between weeks 7 and 8, you have basically all of week 8 to complete it. You can use any resources you want. It will be put up against Turnitin, so if you decided to plagiarize the entire exam, it will get flagged, so don't do that. There's also lab and class participation. That's 30% of your grade, some of that with quiz questions, but there are 2 labs that you will be doing prior to the take-home exam. And then there's a midterm examination that's short answer definitions and some essay questions that you will do in week 4. It'll be 75 minutes long. You choose when you want to do it. It will have Proctorio watching your every move. It is a closed book exam. You cannot go to the outside. Proctorio will flag you if you do. The labs that you're going to be doing, one of them is identifying a vendor-supplied application. You'll be going out trying to find different vendors that fit the parameters for technology. The second one is communicating to a programmer. This is the SQL programming lab, where you're actually going to be looking at some Medicare data to try to figure out what chronic conditions you want to profile. And then the third part of the lab is actually going to be build or buy analysis for a health IT system, but actually it's embedded in your take-home final as the third question. So in terms of labs throughout the course prior to week 7, the first 2 are really the key. To reach me by appointment is best. You also can email me at the email here, sprenti@umn.edu. Make sure you put 6562 somewhere in the comment line. That flags it into a folder, makes it easier for me to respond to you. I get about 200 to 300 emails a day, so I want to be able to get to you quickly. And then phone number will route to me. And there will be a email distribution list basically made up of folks that are in the class. If there's additional information, additional readings, I'll also introduce you to Morning Consult. You can sign up for it right now if you'd like. It's a great resource, Morning Consult Health in particular, that you can use to help you out with your classes. So, and then lastly, your turn. This is going to show up as a set of quiz questions for you to do, and they're open-ended. What types of healthcare organizations will be present in 2022? You can decide whatever ones you think will be there. What do you think the dominant ones are going to be? The quiz question will kind of structure that more for you. What types of information do you think C-level leadership need to make decisions with? And how will that information be furnished? And again, I won't make these completely open-ended, but there will be some thought. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just to get a flavor from you as to what your thoughts are on this subject. And this concludes Module 1.1.3, and we'll moving on to class from there. Thank you.